Finally, Nike has unveiled the signature CC logo, which features two C's. Caitlin Clark, of course.
The basketball world exploded when Nike finally unveiled Caitlin Clark's official logo and teased her upcoming shoe line. What should have been a groundbreaking moment quickly turned into chaos, with the WNBA and certain voices inside the league reacting like it was an earthquake shaking their foundation.
And all it took was for her to take to social media to make this announcement, for everybody to go into a frenzy, and for, I think, the vibes to pick up just a little bit. It's that genuine love the fans have for Caitlin Clark.
For years, fans accused Nike of dragging their feet, disrespecting Clark, and failing to capitalize on her star power. Now that her logo is out, the debate has only grown louder. Is it revolutionary or just another minimalist design slapped on expensive merch?
And the logo, pretty dope. Pretty dope, if I do say so myself. You see it right there. That's the look at it.
Is Nike truly investing in Clark's future? Or are they arriving 2 years too late? The league itself seemed rattled, with whispers of jealousy, frustration, and panic surfacing almost instantly. This isn't just about a logo, it's about power, branding, and the clash between a rising superstar and an organization scrambling to catch up. And the tension is only beginning.
The Caitlin Clark logo. I just realized I haven't even put on my light. But the logo is officially revealed, and I don't hate it. Like, it is what it is.
For months, fans had been left in the dark about whether Nike would finally give Caitlin Clark the respect she deserved. Rumors swirled online, speculation flooded social media, and frustration boiled over as other stars seemed to leap ahead of her in the branding race. Then, in one single moment, the suspense ended. Nike dropped Caitlin Clark's official logo, and just like that, the conversation changed. The logo itself was simple, a clean and sharp CC design that many compared to something you might see on high-end fashion rather than sportswear. At first glance, it looked understated, even minimal, but as soon as it hit the internet, the reactions poured in. Some fans were ecstatic, finally seeing proof that Nike had plans for Clark's global brand. They called it sleek, professional, and timeless.
But Caitlin Clark makes the announcement, says that the signature line is on the way in 2026. The logo is out. Apparently, the t-shirts are about to drop. They look pretty good too. You got that, Indiana Fever theme going on with those.
Something that could transcend the basketball court and land comfortably in lifestyle fashion. Others, however, weren't buying the hype. Critics labeled it lazy, uninspired, and too safe for a player who has completely transformed women's basketball in just a short span of time.
But the logo is officially revealed, and I don't hate it. Like, it is what it is.
The debate wasn't about whether Caitlin Clark deserved a logo. That was already clear. It was whether Nike's effort matched the weight of the moment. The reveal video spread across platforms instantly. On X, formerly Twitter, clips were shared thousands of times within minutes. Instagram Reels dissected every angle of the design, and TikTok creators rushed to react with hot takes. Even those who admitted they didn't love the look confessed that the fact Caitlin Clark now had an official mark was a milestone in itself. This was more than just branding. It was a recognition of her impact on the sport, her ability to draw record-breaking audiences, and her status as the face of the next generation of basketball.
And I also like the sort of little slogan that they threw out there. I don't know if everybody saw that. Her logo is good from anywhere. That's hard. That's tough.
But while the design sparked chatter, what came with it made the situation even more explosive. Alongside the logo came a preview of official Nike merchandise, and with that, the price tags. Fans quickly noticed that the t-shirts featuring Clark's new logo were priced at $40, a number that sparked outrage. How could Nike, a company already under scrutiny for dragging its feet on Clark's branding, now ask fans to pay premium prices for the most basic items? The reveal, meant to be a celebratory moment, instantly turned into a battle of opinions.
One positive thing is at least there's t-shirts. There's already t-shirts that are in the coming soon section. Like, it's a logo. I think $40 for these t-shirts is scandalous. I think they're absolutely scandalous. Like, Especially when for $14.99, you can buy some t-shirts on the McTalks Hoop store. Selling for $14.99. As low as that.
This tension highlighted exactly why Caitlin Clark's rise has been so polarizing. She represents more than a player. She represents a shift in power, a moment where one athlete can completely alter the direction of a league and its business. And Nike, whether they realized it or not, had just added fuel to the fire. The reveal wasn't only about unveiling a logo, it was about testing how far Clark's influence could reach and how much backlash could erupt when expectations weren't fully met. And just when fans thought the logo was the biggest point of debate, the controversy over pricing stole the spotlight. If the reveal of Caitlin Clark's logo split opinions, the rollout of merchandise lit the fuse that sent fans into outrage. Almost immediately after Nike announced the first products featuring the new CC design, screenshots of the online store began circulating. The plain t-shirts, marked at $40 each, sparked a tidal wave of criticism. Fans were quick to call it a cash grab, and for many, it felt like an insult rather than a celebration. Social media erupted with comparisons showing that similar shirts from other basketball apparel lines were selling for a fraction of the price. The conversation shifted from excitement about Clark's brand to anger at Nike's pricing strategy. One of the loudest complaints was how disconnected this felt from Caitlin Clark's core fanbase. Unlike many athletes who grow their brand slowly, over years, Clark had exploded into the spotlight in record time, pulling in millions of new followers and casual fans. Many of them were students, families, and middle-class supporters who didn't have endless money to throw at premium merch. For those fans, $40 for a t-shirt was not just expensive, it was alienating. Nike seemed to be forgetting that Clark's appeal came not only from her dominance on the court, but from her relatability off of it. The anger intensified as independent merch sellers began promoting their own Caitlin-inspired apparel. Smaller shops advertised shirts as low as $15, undercutting Nike's price by more than half. Fans highlighted the irony, while Nike dragged its feet for years to even acknowledge Clark with a proper logo. Smaller outlets had already been producing creative, affordable designs that sold out quickly. Now Nike wanted to swoop in and capitalize, but the backlash suggested they misread the room. To make matters worse, the timing of the release poured salt in the wound. Many fans argued that Nike had already disrespected Clark by delaying a signature shoe for years. Now, by pricing the first wave of logo apparel out of reach for many supporters, it felt like another example of corporate greed overshadowing the athlete's real connection to her base. Clark herself wasn't the target of the anger. Most fans understood she had little control over Nike's pricing, but the optics were bad. It looked as if the WNBA and Nike were once again behind the curve, failing to seize an opportunity to grow the game organically through accessibility. This wasn't just about shirts and hoodies. It was about the bigger picture of how women's sports are marketed. Fans saw it as a test case. If Caitlin Clark, the most influential new player in years, couldn't get affordable merch into the hands of her supporters, what did that say about the league's priorities? The frustration reached a boiling point when commentators began to question whether Nike was truly interested in empowering women's basketball or simply profiting from Clark's star power. And just when it seemed like the pricing storm couldn't get worse, the debate over how Clark's logo stacked up against her peers threw gasoline on the fire. As soon as Caitlin Clark's logo dropped, it didn't take long for fans to start comparing it with those of other WNBA stars. In today's branding-driven sports culture, logos aren't just designs, they're status symbols. And when Clark's minimalist CC appeared, the internet rushed to rank it against the league's biggest names. At the top of nearly every conversation was Sabrina Ionescu's sleek, stylized S logo. Many fans praised Sabrina's branding as the gold standard, calling it modern, elegant, and unmistakably unique. By comparison, Caitlin's logo was seen as safe, almost too similar to luxury brand aesthetics like Chanel. While some applauded that crossover appeal, others felt it lacked personality and failed to capture her fiery style of play. Then came the comparisons to Angel Reese. Despite being one of Clark's biggest rivals, Reese's logo earned surprising respect from fans who admitted it had a bold, eye-catching flair. Some even ranked Reese's above Clark's, pointing out that Nike's effort looked like it had been rushed or stripped of creativity. This stung for Clark supporters, especially given how her on-court impact dwarfs most of her peers. In their view, Clark deserved a design as disruptive and exciting as her game. And then there was A'ja Wilson's infamous logo, widely mocked online and often referred to as the bottle opener. Fans on social media tore it apart, arguing it looked more like a household tool than the signature emblem of a superstar. Against that backdrop, Caitlin's CC at least avoided ridicule, but many felt the design landed in an awkward middle ground, better than Wilson's, not as iconic as Sabrina's, and less daring than Reese's. That left Clark with a logo that was respected, but not universally celebrated. What made this comparison frenzy even more intense was the underlying rivalry narrative in the WNBA. Every new piece of branding, every signature release, feels like part of a larger battle for visibility and cultural relevance. Fans don't just want a logo, they want a symbol that sparks debate, loyalty, and bragging rights. For Clark, whose fan base is larger and more vocal than most, the stakes were sky high. To them, Nike's conservative approach looked like a missed opportunity to cement her identity as the face of the league. Still, there was another side to the story. Some marketing experts argued that Clark's logo was intentionally designed to feel timeless and adaptable, giving it legs beyond the basketball court. They pointed out that the simplicity could allow it to scale across fashion, lifestyle products, and collaborations, making it a long-term win even if the immediate reaction was lukewarm. In their eyes, Nike wasn't playing to win the instant popularity contest, they were building a brand that could last decades. But whether fans loved or hated the comparisons, one thing was clear. Clark's logo had forced itself into the center of the conversation, and that conversation only grew louder once fans realized the timing of Nike's signature shoe release might be the most controversial part of all. When Nike finally revealed Caitlin Clark's logo, fans thought the wait was over. But then came the detail that turned excitement into frustration. Her first signature shoe wouldn't arrive until 2026. For a player who has already changed the trajectory of women's basketball, that timeline felt like a slap in the face. Most fans expected Nike to ride Clark's meteoric rise immediately, dropping her shoe within a year of her professional debut. Instead, the company essentially asked supporters to wait nearly 2 more seasons, and the response was outrage. The delay raised obvious questions. Why would Nike hesitate with an athlete who has already broken attendance and viewership records? Critics argued that the brand had completely misread the urgency of the moment. Clark's popularity is at an all-time high now, not 2 years from now. In sports marketing, timing is everything, and by dragging their feet, Nike risks losing momentum just when the WNBA needs it most. It didn't help that fans pointed out how other stars received their signature shoes far quicker. Sabrina Ionescu's Nike deal moved swiftly. Other athletes in different sports had signature releases within months of turning professional. For Caitlin Clark, whose impact is arguably larger, the delay looked like negligence or worse, intentional disrespect. Supporters vented that Nike seemed hesitant to fully embrace Clark, even while cashing in on her image with overpriced t-shirts and limited merchandise. Adding fuel to the fire was the fact that those closest to Clark had already called Nike out. Her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey, openly tweeted about how she was being ignored and sidelined by the brand. Fans echoed his frustrations, pointing out that Clark had been carrying women's basketball into new levels of national attention while her sponsor lagged behind. By the time Nike announced 2026 as the release date, the narrative was no longer just about a shoe. It was about whether the company truly respected her status or was dragging its heels until it was convenient. The WNBA, already accused of Clark's influence, looked even more rattled. To them, every Nike delay meant another missed chance to showcase their brightest star. With ticket sales, TV ratings, and sponsorships tied directly to Clark's presence, waiting until 2026 felt like sabotage. Fans framed it as the league and Nike being out of sync, failing to capitalize on a rare generational moment. Some defenders of Nike argued that creating a signature shoe takes time, designs, Testing and production aren't things that can happen overnight, but critics pushed back. If smaller brands can innovate quickly, why can't one of the biggest companies in the world? The explanation sounded more like an excuse than a reason. By the end of the announcement, the excitement of seeing Clark's logo had been overshadowed by disappointment in the timeline. Fans weren't just asking about the shoe anymore. They were asking why Nike kept missing the biggest moments of her career. And that frustration only grew stronger as people began to revisit the long history of Nike disrespecting Caitlin Clark before this reveal. Long before Caitlin Clark's logo ever appeared, fans had already built a case against Nike. For years, the brand seemed to treat her like an afterthought, despite the fact that she was shattering records, filling arenas, and pulling ratings that rivaled men's games. The disrespect narrative didn't start with a logo, nor with a delayed shoe release. It started during her rookie season, when other members of her draft class were given signature opportunities while Clark was left waiting. That decision baffled fans. How could Nike ignore the one player who was single-handedly changing the conversation about women's basketball? Every missed opportunity added fuel to the fire. When Clark set college attendance records, Nike was quiet. When she entered the WNBA as the most talked-about rookie in decades, Nike still dragged its feet. Meanwhile, competitors like Adidas and Puma were moving aggressively to push their stars forward. Fans couldn't help but feel like Nike was deliberately holding Clark back, afraid to fully embrace her because of the ripple effect it would cause inside the league. After all, crowning Clark too early might upset veterans who had waited years. For similar recognition, the disrespect became even more obvious when voices close to Clark started to speak up. Connor McCaffrey, her boyfriend, tweeted openly about Nike's lack of action, echoing what thousands of fans had already been saying online. His frustration wasn't just about merchandise, it was about respect. If Clark could pack arenas, sell out road games, and dominate headlines, why wasn't Nike doing its part? His comments gave legitimacy to what supporters had been arguing all along. Clark wasn't being ignored because she wasn't marketable, she was being ignored. Despite being the most marketable player in the sport, to many fans, Nike's slow rollout of Clark's brand represented a larger problem in women's basketball. The league often seems hesitant to fully back its breakout stars, worried about creating imbalance or resentment. But that cautious approach has left opportunities on the table, and Caitlin Clark became the clearest example. Instead of embracing her as the face of a new era, Nike seemed stuck in the past, treating her like just another player in the system. What made the disrespect sting even more was the clear demand from fans. Every Caitlin Clark highlight went viral. Every game she played became an event. Merchandise with her name sold out instantly, even when it wasn't official Nike gear. It was obvious the appetite was there. The question was why Nike didn't act faster. Was it mismanagement? Was it politics within the WNBA? Or was it simply a lack of vision? Whatever the reason, the end result was the same. Clark and her supporters felt sidelined. The disrespect narrative turned what should have been a triumphant moment, the logo reveal, into a reminder of how late it came. And while Nike hoped fans would celebrate, many instead saw it as too little, too late. Yet, buried within the criticism was an unexpected twist. Some began to argue that maybe Nike was playing a different game altogether. Perhaps the simplicity of the logo and the slow burn strategy wasn't laziness, but an intentional fashion play designed to expand Clark's brand beyond basketball. While fans debated the creativity and timing of Caitlin Clark's logo, a quieter narrative began to surface. Maybe Nike wasn't aiming for the basketball crowd alone. Maybe this wasn't just about sports branding at all. The more people looked at the design, the more comparisons emerged to luxury fashion houses like Chanel. The overlapping CC didn't scream basketball, it whispered high-end. And for some, that subtlety signaled something far bigger. Nike was positioning Clark not just as an athlete, but as a lifestyle icon. At first, this idea was mocked. Fans expecting something bold, fiery, or tied to her on-court personality felt shortchanged. But as the logo spread online, fashion insiders and casual observers alike started to notice its versatility. On a sneaker, it could feel athletic. On a t-shirt, it could pass as streetwear. On a handbag or jacket, it could resemble a boutique label by stripping away overt basketball references. Nike may have designed a logo with crossover potential, something that could live in malls, runways, and lifestyle stores. Not just sporting goods aisles, this fashion-first approach would explain the deliberate simplicity. Unlike Sabrina Ionescu's sharp and unmistakably sporty logo, or Angel Reese's bold design, Clark's mark looked like it was crafted to blend seamlessly into everyday wear. Nike might have been thinking beyond highlight reels and box scores, aiming to build a brand that would last decades, not just peak during her playing career. After all, longevity is what turns athletes into icons. Michael Jordan's Jumpman logo didn't succeed because it was flashy. It succeeded because it became timeless. Of course, not everyone was buying this narrative. Critics argued that calling the design fashion-forward was just Nike's way of covering for a lack of creativity. To them, this wasn't strategy, it was laziness. If Nike truly wanted to position Clark as a crossover star, why not create something bolder that captured both worlds, her explosive gameplay and her mainstream appeal? Skeptics saw the Chanel comparisons as accidental, not intentional, and accused Nike of piggybacking on a fashion aesthetic without delivering anything original. Still, the idea of Clark's logo as a fashion play gained traction. Supporters pointed out how often Clark's image is already tied to cultural relevance outside the court. Her college games became social events. Her WNBA debut drew celebrity attendance. Even casual sports fans knew her name. With that level of cultural reach, a minimalist logo might be the smartest move, allowing Clark to move fluidly between sports and lifestyle branding. This strategy also raised a bigger question. Was Nike playing the long game at the expense of the short-term excitement? By delaying her shoe until 2026 and leaning into a versatile logo, perhaps the company believed they could build anticipation slowly, creating demand not just for athletes, but for an entire consumer demographic. If that's the case, Clark's brand could grow beyond basketball into something much larger. But as debates raged, one truth became clear. Logos weren't just designs, they were statements of power. And Caitlin Clark's new emblem placed her in the same conversation as established WNBA stars, sparking questions about where she truly ranks among the league's icons. With her logo now unveiled and a signature shoe on the horizon, Caitlin Clark has officially entered a new tier of WNBA stardom. But the question everyone is asking is this: where does she truly stand among the league's icons? For years, the WNBA has leaned heavily on established stars like Aja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu to carry the branding torch. Each of them has had their own moment in the spotlight, building identities both on and off the court. Yet, in just over a year, Clark has managed to eclipse many of them in terms of cultural impact, visibility, and market power. What sets Clark apart is how quickly she has become the face of women's basketball. Most WNBA stars build their legacy slowly, through seasons of consistent play and gradual media recognition. Clark, however, has exploded into mainstream consciousness almost overnight. Her games draw record viewership, her jerseys outsell most of her peers, and her highlights dominate sports media. The fact that Nike's delayed shoe announcement became national news shows how deeply her brand resonates outside of basketball circles. She isn't just competing with fellow WNBA players, she's competing with cultural icons. But this rapid rise also places her in a complicated position within the league. Some veterans see her as skipping the line, earning opportunities in her first 2 seasons that others waited years, even decades, to achieve. That sense of envy has fueled tension on the court and criticism off it. Yet, for all the jealousy, no one can deny the numbers. Clark's ability to generate revenue, ticket sales, and media coverage is unmatched. And in the business of sports, those numbers speak louder than tradition. Comparisons to Sabrina Ionescu are especially interesting. Both players came into the league with enormous hype. But while Sabrina was embraced as the WNBA's future face, her brand never reached the cultural saturation point that Clark has achieved. Ionescu's logo is widely respected, yet it doesn't carry the same buzz. Angel Reese, meanwhile, thrives on her polarizing image and has turned controversy into branding gold. But her appeal remains tied to rivalry and personality. Clark, by contrast, has positioned herself as the centerpiece of the league's growth, balancing both popularity and performance. Caitlin Clark's new logo, whether fans love it or hate it, solidifies her as part of this elite conversation. It's a sign that she isn't just a star player, she's a brand in her own right. And while Nike may have been slow to the party, their eventual recognition places her among the WNBA greats who have managed to cross from athlete to icon. Still, the real test lies ahead. A logo is one thing, a signature shoe is another. The moment that shoe drops in 2026 will determine whether Caitlin Clark's influence cements her as the undisputed face of the WNBA, or if Nike's delay risks letting the moment pass her by. And that question looms larger than any logo debate. Caitlin Clark's logo reveal didn't just ignite debates about design, pricing, or timing. It forced the sports world to confront a bigger truth about women's athletics. For decades, women's sports have battled for mainstream visibility, struggling to secure the same marketing push, merchandise availability, and cultural presence as men's leagues. With Clark, however, the script is changing. She isn't just another talented player, she is a generational star who has proven she can move the needle in ways no one thought possible. The controversy surrounding her logo and shoe line highlights both the progress and the shortcomings in how brands and leagues approach women's sports. The excitement proved one thing: there is undeniable demand. Every Caitlin Clark headline trends. Every ticket to her games feels like gold. Merchandise featuring her name sells out almost instantly, even when fans complain about prices. This level of cultural pull is rare, and it shows that women's sports don't lack audience interest, they've lacked proper investment and recognition. Nike's late embrace of Clark demonstrates how even the biggest companies can underestimate the power of female athletes, leaving money and opportunity on the table, but the backlash also showed how much fans care. Unlike in the past, when women's sports stories often passed by with little discussion, Clark's branding saga became a national talking point. People debated not just the design of a logo, but the symbolism behind it. Was Nike truly supporting Clark, or simply profiting off her? Was the WNBA celebrating its new star, or quietly resenting her rise? These debates prove that women's sports have reached a level where fans feel ownership and accountability. That passion is exactly what fuels long-term growth. Clark's story also sends a message to future athletes. If she can demand attention and force billion-dollar companies to change course, then younger stars will know their voices matter. The days of being grateful for whatever scraps a sponsor throws are fading. Today's athletes expect proper treatment, timely recognition, and a platform equal to their influence. In that sense, Clark is not just shaping her own brand, she's shaping the standards for an entire generation of players to come. At the same time, the WNBA finds itself at a crossroads. Embracing Clark's star power could elevate the league into a new era of popularity, but resisting her influence could stall momentum. Fans have already shown they'll tune in for her. The challenge now is whether the league and its partners can rise to meet that energy, or if they'll let old politics hold them back. Ultimately, the bigger picture is clear. Caitlin Clark's logo and shoe line are not just about fashion or merchandise. They are about legitimacy, respect, and the future of women's sports. The way Nike, the WNBA, and fans respond to this moment will ripple for years. And while the debate rages on, one thing is undeniable: women's sports are no longer asking for attention. They're demanding it. Caitlin Clark's logo and upcoming shoe line were supposed to be a celebration, but instead, they exposed the messy truth about women's sports, branding, and corporate timing. What should have been a straightforward win became a storm of debates over pricing, respect, and whether Nike really understands the magnitude of Clark's influence. Fans argued about the design, critics slammed the release date, and comparisons to other WNBA stars turned the reveal into a full-blown rivalry conversation. Yet, even in the middle of controversy, Clark's presence only grew stronger. That's the irony. Every argument, every headline, every backlash proves just how much power she holds. This moment isn't the end of the conversation. It's the beginning of a new standard, where fans expect women's athletes to be treated like cultural icons, not afterthoughts. And whether Nike is ready or not, Caitlin Clark has already forced that change.